The cinema of India consists of films produced across India, which includes the cinematic cultures of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Assam, Bengal, Bihar, Gujarat, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Manipur, Odisha, Punjab, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, and Bollywood, among others. Cinema as a medium has gained immense popularity in the country, and as many as 1,600 films in various languages of India are produced annually. Indian films have also come to be followed throughout Southern Asia, the Greater Middle East, Southeast Asia, and the former Soviet Union. Dadasaheb Phalke is known as the father of Indian cinema. The Dadasaheb Phalke Award for lifetime contribution to cinema was instituted in his honor by the Government of India in 1969, and is the most prestigious and coveted award in Indian cinema. In the 20th century, Indian cinema, along with the Hollywood and Chinese film industries, became a global enterprise. As of 2013, in terms of annual film output, India ranks first, followed by Nollywood, Hollywood and China. In 2012, India produced 1,602 feature films. The Indian film industry reached overall revenues of $1.86 billion in 2011. This is projected to rise to $3 billion in 2016. In 2015, India had a total box office of $1.6 billion, the fourth largest in the world outside North America. Enhanced technology paved the way for upgrading from established cinematic norms of delivering product, altering the manner in which content reached the target audience. Visual effects-based, superhero science fiction, and epic films like Anthiran, Bahubali, Krish emerged as blockbusters. Indian cinema found markets in over 90 countries where films from India are screened. The Indian government extended film delegations to foreign countries such as the United States of America and Japan, while the country's film producers guilds sent similar missions through Europe. The 2015 epic film Rudramadevi is the first Indian 3D historical film. The provision of 100% foreign direct investment has made the Indian film market attractive for foreign enterprises such as 20th Century Fox, Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Pictures and Warner Brothers. Indian enterprises such as AVM Productions, Prasad's Group, Sun Pictures, PVP Cinemas, CUTV, Suresh Productions, Eros Films, Eingren International, Pyramid Saimira, Oscar Films and Adlabs also participated in producing and distributing films. Tax incentives to multiplexes have aided the multiplex boom in India. By 2003, as many as 30 film production companies had been listed in the National Stock Exchange of India, making the commercial presence of the medium felt. The South Indian film industry defines the four film cultures of South India as a single entity. They are the Tamil, the Telugu, the Malayalam and the Kannada industries. Although developed independently for a long period of time, gross exchange of film performers and technicians as well as globalization helped to shape this new identity. The Indian diaspora consists of millions of Indians overseas for which films are made available both through mediums such as DVDs and by screening of films in their country of residence wherever commercially feasible. These earnings, accounting for some 12% of the revenue generated by a mainstream film, contribute substantially to the overall revenue of Indian cinema, the net worth of which was found to be $1.3 billion in 2000. Music in Indian cinema is another substantial revenue generator, with the music rights alone accounting for 45% of the net revenues generated by a film in India. History. Following the screening of the Lumiere moving pictures in London, cinema became a sensation across Europe, and by July 1896 the Lumiere films had been in show in Bombay. In the next year, a film presentation by one Professor Stevenson featured a stage show at Calcutta's Star Theatre. With Stevenson's encouragement and camera Hiralal Sen, an Indian photographer, made a film of scenes from that show, namely The Flower of Persia. The Wrestlers by H.S. Bhattavdekar, showing a wrestling match at the Hanging Gardens in Mumbai, was the first film ever to be shot by an Indian. It was also the first Indian documentary film. The first Indian film released in India was Shri Pundalik, a silent film in Marathi by Dadasaheb, torn on 18 May 1912 at Coronation Cinematograph, Mumbai. Some have argued that Pundalik does not deserve the honor of being called the first Indian film because it was a photographic recording of a popular Marathi play, and because the cameraman, a man named Johnson, was a British national and the film was processed in London. The first full-length motion picture in India was produced by Dadasaheb Phalke. Dadasaheb is the pioneer of Indian film industry, a scholar on India's languages and culture, who brought together elements from Sanskrit epics to produce his Raja Harishchandra, a silent film in Marathi. The female roles in the film were played by male actors. The film marked a historic benchmark in the film industry in India. Only one print of the film was made and shown at the Coronation Cinematograph on 3 May 1913. It was a commercial success and paved the way for more such films. The first silent film in Tamil, Kichakivadam, was made by Annatturaju Mudaliar in 1916. The first Indian chain of cinema theatres, Maiden Theatre, was owned by the Parsi entrepreneur Jamshedji Framji Maiden, who oversaw production of 10 films annually and distributed them throughout the Indian subcontinent starting from 1902. He founded Elphinstone Bioscope Company in Calcutta. Elphinstone merged into Maiden Theatres Limited in 1919, which brought many of Bengal's most popular literary works to the stage. He also produced Satyawadi Raja Harishchandra in 1917, a remake of Phalke's Raja Harishchandra. Raghupati Venkaiah Naidu was an Indian artist and a pioneer in the production of silent Indian movies and talkies. Starting from 1909, he was involved in many aspects of Indian cinema's history, like traveling to different regions in Asia to promote film work. He was the first to build and own cinema halls in Madras, in South India, the first Tamil talkie Kalida, which released on 31 October 1931, barely 7 months after India's first talking picture. Aralamara Nattaraju Mudaliar also established South India's first film studio in Madras. During the early 20th century, cinema as a medium gained popularity across India's population and its many economic sections. Tickets were made affordable to the common man at a low price, and for the financially capable additional admission ticket price. Audiences thronged to cinema halls as this affordable medium of entertainment was available for as low as an anna in Bombay. The content of Indian commercial cinema was increasingly tailored to appeal to these masses. Young Indian producers began to incorporate elements of India's social life and culture into cinema. Others brought with them ideas from across the world. This was also the time when global audiences and markets became aware of India's film industry. In 1927, the British government, to promote the market in India for British films over American ones, formed the Indian Cinematograph Inquiry Committee. The ICC consisted of 3 British and 3 Indians, led by T. Rangachari, a Madras lawyer. This committee failed to support the desired recommendations of supporting British film, instead recommending support for the fledgling Indian film industry. The suggestions were shelved. Ardshir Irani released Ilamara, which was the first Indian talkie film, on 14 March 1931. Irani later produced the first South Indian talkie film Kalidas, directed by H. M. Reddy, released on 31 October 1931. Jumai Shasthi was the first Bengali talkie. Following the inception of talkies in India, some film stars were highly sought after and earned comfortable incomes through acting. Actor of the time, Chitta V. Nagar was one of the first multilingual film actor, singer, music composer, producer and directors in India. He was known as the Paul Muni of India in the media. In 1933, East India Film Company has produced its first Indian film Savitri, shot in Calcutta on a budget of 75,000 rupees, based on a noted stage play by Milavaram Balabharathi Samajam. The film was directed by C. Pulaya, casting stage actors for Muri Gagar and Dasari Ramatilakam as Yama and Savithra, respectively. The blockbuster film has received an honorary diploma at Venice Film Festival. The first film studio in South India, Durga Cinetone, was built in 1936 by Nidamathi Suraya in Rajamundry, Andhra Pradesh. As sound technology advanced, the 1930s saw the rise of music in Indian cinema, with musicals such as Indra Sabha and Devi Devyani marking the beginning of song and dance in India's films. Studios emerged across major cities such as Chennai, Kolkata and Mumbai as filmmaking became an established craft by 1935, exemplified by the success of Devdas, which had managed to enthrall audiences nationwide. In 1937, Kisan Kanu, directed by Moti B. Gidwani, was released. It is the first colour film made in India. 1940 film Vishwamahini is the first Indian film depicting the Indian movie world. The film was directed by Y. V. Rao and scripted by Balijepalli Lakshmikantha Kavi. Swami Kanu Vincent, who had built the first cinema of South India in Coimbatore, introduced the concept of tent cinema, in which a tent was erected on a stretch of open land close to a town or village to screen the films. The first of its kind was established in Madras, called Edison's Grand Cinema Megaphone. This was due to the fact that electric carbons were used for motion picture projectors. Bombay Talkies came up in 1934 and Prabhat Studios in Pune had begun production of films meant for the Marathi language audience. Filmmaker R.S.D. Chowdhury produced Roth, banned by the British Raj in India as it depicted actors as Indian leaders, an expression censored during the days of the Indian independence movement. Santukaram, a 1936 film based on the life of Tukaram, a Varkari sant and spiritual poet, was screened at the 1937 edition of Venice Film Festival and thus became the first Indian film to be screened at an international film festival. The film was subsequently adjudged as one of the 3 best films of the year in the world. In 1938, Godavari Ram Abraham has co-produced and directed the social problem film Rathu Bida, which was banned by the British administration in the region for depicting the uprise of the peasantry among the Zamindars during the British Raj. The Indian Masala film, a slang used for commercial films with song, dance, romance etc., came up following the Second World War. South Indian cinema gained prominence throughout India with the release of S.S. Vasan's Chandralekha. During the 1940s, cinema in South India accounted for nearly half of India's cinema halls, and cinema came to be viewed as an instrument of cultural revival. The partition of India following its independence divided the nation's assets, and a number of studios went to the newly formed Pakistan. The strife of partition would become an enduring subject for filmmaking during the decades that followed. After Indian independence, the cinema of India was inquired by the S.K. Patil Commission. S.K. Patil, head of the commission, viewed cinema in India as a combination of art, industry, and showmanship, while noting its commercial value. Patil further recommended setting up of a film finance corporation under the Ministry of Finance. This advice was later taken up in 1960, and the institution came into being to provide financial support to talented filmmakers throughout India. The Indian government had established a films division by 1948, which eventually became one of the largest documentary film producers in the world, with an annual production of over 200 short documentaries, each released in 18 languages, with 9,000 prints for permanent film theatres across the country. The Indian People's Theatre Association, an art movement with a communist inclination, began to take shape through the 1940s and the 1950s. A number of realistic IPTA plays, such as Bijan Bhattacharya's Nibbana in 1944, prepared the ground for the solidification of realism in Indian cinema, exemplified by Khwaja Ahmad Abbas's Dati Lal in 1946. The IPTA movement continued to emphasize on reality and went on to produce Mother India and Pyasa, among India's most recognizable cinematic productions. Golden Age of Indian Cinema. Following India's independence, the period from the late 1940s to the 1960s are regarded by film historians as the Golden Age of Indian cinema. Some of the most critically acclaimed Indian films of all time were produced during this period. This period saw the emergence of a new parallel cinema movement, mainly led by Bengali cinema. Early examples of films in this movement include Chetan Anand's Nagar, Ritwik Ghatak's Nagruk, and Bimal Roy's Da Bigha Zameen, laying the foundations for Indian neo-realism and the Indian New Wave. Patha Panchali, the first part of the Apu trilogy by Satyajit Ray, marked his entry in Indian cinema. The Apu trilogy won major prizes at all the major international film festivals and led to the parallel cinema movement being firmly established in Indian cinema. Its influence on world cinema can also be felt in the youthful coming-of-age dramas that have flooded art houses since the mid-50s, which owe a tremendous debt to the Apu trilogy. The cinematographer Subrata Mitra, who made his debut with Satyajit Ray's The Apu trilogy, also had an important influence on cinematography across the world. One of his most important techniques was bounce lighting, to recreate the effect of daylight on sets. He pioneered the technique while filming Aparajito, the second part of the Apu trilogy. Some of the experimental techniques which Satyajit Ray pioneered include photo-negative flashbacks and X-ray digressions while filming Pratidwadi. Ray's 1967 script for a film to be called The Alien, which was eventually cancelled, is also widely believed to have been the inspiration for Steven Spielberg's E.T. Satyajit Ray and Ritwik Ghatak went on to direct many more critically acclaimed art films, and they were followed by other acclaimed Indian independent filmmakers such as Mrinal Sen, Mani Kaul, Adoor Gopalakrishnan, Aravindan, Girish Kasravali and Buddhadeb Dasgupta. During the 1960s, Indira Gandhi's intervention during her reign as the Information and Broadcasting Minister of India further led to production of offbeat cinematic expression being supported by the official Film Finance Corporation. Commercial Hindi cinema also began thriving, with examples of acclaimed films at the time include the Guru Dutt films Pyasa and Kaagaz Ke Phool and the Raj Kapoor films Awara and Shri 420. These films expressed social themes mainly dealing with working-class urban life in India. Awara presented the city as both a nightmare and a dream, while Pyasa critiqued the unreality of city life. Some epic films were also produced at the time, including Mehboob Khan's Mother India, which was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and K. Asif's Mughal-e-Azam, v. Shantaram's Duamkan Bara Hath is believed to have inspired the Hollywood film The Dirty Dozen. Madhumati, directed by Bimal Roy and written by Ritwik Ghatak, popularized the theme of reincarnation in Western popular culture. Other mainstream Hindi filmmakers at the time included Kamal Amroi and Vijay Bhatt. Ever since Chetan Anand's social realist film Neecha Naga won the grand prize at the first Cannes Film Festival, Indian films were frequently in competition for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival for nearly every year in the 1950s and early 1960s, with a number of them winning major prizes at the festival. Satyajit Ray also won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival for Aparajito, the second part of the Apu trilogy, and the Golden Bear and 2 Silver Bears for Best Director at the Berlin International Film Festival. Ray's contemporaries, Ritwik Ghatak and Guru Dutt, were overlooked in their own lifetimes but had belatedly generated international recognition much later in the 1980s and 1990s. Ray is regarded as one of the greatest auteurs of 20th century cinema, with Dutt and Ghatak. In 1992, the Cinematograph Sound Critics poll ranked Ray at No. 7 in its list of top 10 directors of all time, while Dutt was ranked No. 73 in the 2002 Cinematograph Sound Greatest Directors poll. Shivaji Ganesan became India's first ever actor to receive an international award when he won the Best Actor award at the Afro-Asian Film Festival in 1960 and was awarded the title of Chevalier in the Legion of Honor by the French government in 1995. Tamil cinema is also influenced by Dravidian politics, with prominent film personalities like C. N. Annaduri, M. G. Ramachandran, M. Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha becoming chief ministers of Tamil Nadu. A number of Indian films from this era are often included among the greatest films of all time in various critics and directors polls. At this juncture, South cinema saw the production works based on the epic Mahabharata, such as Mayabazar, listed by Urban Live's 2013 poll as the greatest Indian film of all time, and Nathanasala received awards for Best Production Design and Best Actor to S. V. Ranga Rao at the Indonesian Film Festival. A number of Satyajit Ray films appeared in the Cinematograph Sound Critics poll, including the Apu trilogy, The Music Room, Charlotta and Days and Nights in the Forest. The 2002 Cinematograph Sound Critics and Directors poll also included the Guru Dutt films Pyasa and Kaagaz Ke Phool, the Ritwik Ghatak films Megadakatara and Komal Ganda, and Raj Kapoor's Awara, Vijay Bhatt's Bora, Mehboob Khan's Mother India and K. Asif's Mughal-e-Azam all tied at number 346. In 1998, the critics' poll conducted by the Asian film magazine Cinema included the Apu trilogy, Ray's Charlotta and The Music Room, and Ghatak's Subarnareka. Modern Indian cinema. Some filmmakers such as Shyam Benegal continued to produce realistic parallel cinema throughout the 1970s, alongside Satyajit Ray, Ritwik Ghatak, Mrinal Sen, Buddhadeb Dasgupta and Gautam Ghose in Bengali cinema, K. Balachandra, Balu Mahendra, Bharathiraja and Mani Ratnam in Tamil cinema. Adore Gopalakrishnan, Shaji N. Karun, John Abraham and G. Aravindan, also Bharathan and Padmarayan in Malayalam cinema, Nirad Mohapatra in Oriya cinema, K.N. T. Sastry and B. Narsingh Rao in Telugu cinema, Mani Kaul, Kumar Shahani, Ketan Mehta, Govind Nihalani and Vijay Mehta in Hindi cinema. However, the art film bent of the Film Finance Corporation came under criticism during a Committee on Public Undertakings investigation in 1976, which accused the body of not doing enough to encourage commercial cinema. The 1970s did, nevertheless, see the rise of commercial cinema in form of enduring films such as Anand, Amar Prem and Karti Patang, establishing Rajesh Khanna as the first superstar of Indian cinema. Later, in mid-70s, action films like Zanjeer and Sholay solidified Amitabh Bachchan's position as a lead actor. The devotional classic Jai Santoshi Ma was also released in 1975. Another important film from 1975 was Deewaar, directed by Yash Chopra and written by Salam Javed, a crime film pitting a policeman against his brother, a gang leader based on real-life smuggler Haji Mastan, portrayed by Amitabh Bachchan. It was described as being absolutely key to Indian cinema by Danny Boyle. 1979 Telugu film Sankarabharanam, which dealt with the revival of Indian classical music, has won the prize of the public at the Besançon Film Festival of France in the year 1981. 1970 Kannada film Samskara, directed by Pattabhiram Reddy, pioneered the parallel cinema movement in South Indian cinema. The film won Bronze Leopard at the Locarno International Film Festival. Many Tamil-language films have premiered or have been selected as special presentations at various film festivals across the globe, such as Mani Ratnam's Kanathal Mothermittal, Vasantha Balan's Vayil and Amir Sultan's Paruthivaran. Kanchavaran was selected to be premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. Tamil films have been a part of films submitted by India for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language on 8 occasions, next only to Hindi. Mani Ratnam's Naigan was included in Time magazine's All-Time 100 Best Movies list. In 1991, Marupakam, directed by K. S. Sethumadhavan, became the first Tamil film to win the National Film Award for Best Feature Film. The feat was repeated by Kanchavaram in 2007. Malayalam cinema of Kerala, regarded as one of the best Indian film genres, experienced its own golden age in the 1980s and early 1990s. Some of the most acclaimed Indian filmmakers at the time were from the Malayalam industry, including Adore Gopalakrishnan, G. Aravindan, T. V. Chandran and Shaji N. Karan. Adore Gopalakrishnan, who is often considered to be Satyajit Ray's spiritual heir, directed some of his most acclaimed films during this period, including Alipathalam, which won the Sutherland Trophy at the London Film Festival, as well as Matilakal, which won major prizes at the Venice Film Festival. Shaji N. Karan's debut film Pyravi won the Camera d'Or at the 1989 Cannes Film Festival, while his second film Swahim was in competition for the Palme d'Or at the 1994 Cannes Film Festival. Commercial Malayalam cinema also began gaining popularity with the action films of Jayan, a popular stunt actor whose success was short-lived when he died while filming a dangerous helicopter stunt. Commercial Hindi cinema further grew throughout the 1980s and the 1990s with the release of films such as Ek Douj Kliye, Mr. India, Qayamat Sheikh Ayamat Tak Tazab, Chandani, Main Pyar Kiya, Bazigar, Da Hum Apka Hain Koon. Dil to Pagal Hai, Dil Wale Dul Hariya Lajar Yingupya Kutoh Dana Kya and Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, many of which starred Anil Kapoor, Salman Khan, Sridevi, Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan and Madhuri Dixit. At this juncture, Shekhar Kapoor's cult classic Bandit Queen, which received international recognition, has also garnered high criticism by Arundhati Roy in her film review entitled The Great Indian Rape Trick. However, the film highlighted the revival of feminist themes. In the late 1990s, parallel cinema began experiencing a resurgence in Hindi cinema, largely due to the critical and commercial success of Satya, a crime film based on the Mumbai underworld, written and directed by Ram Gopal Varma, with screenplay by Anurag Kashyap. The film's success led to the emergence of a distinct genre known as Mumbai Noir, urban films reflecting social problems in the city of Mumbai. Later films belonging to the Mumbai Noir genre include Madhur Bhandarkar's Chandani Bar and Traffic Signal. Ram Gopal Varma's company AJDEVGN and its prequel D. Anurag Kashyap's Black Friday. Vishal Bhardwaj's 2014 Film Haider, the third installment of Indian Shakespearean trilogy after Makbul and Omkara, won the People's Choice Award at the 9th Rome Film Festival in the Mondo Genere category, making it the first Indian film to achieve this feat. Other art film directors active today include Mrinal Sen, Mir Shani, Buddhadeb Dasgupta, Gautam Ghose, Sandapray and Aparna Sen in Bengali cinema, Patana Kanagal, Dorbigavan, Siddhalinga in Kannada, Ador Gopala Krishnan, Shaji N. Karananti, V. Chandran in Malayalam cinema, Nirad Mohapatra in Oriya cinema, Mani Kaul, Kumar Shahani, Ketan Mehta, Govine Nihalani, Shaim Benegal, Myra Nair, Nagesh Kukanor, Sadia Mishra and Nandita Das in Hindi cinema, K. N.T. Sastry, B. Narsingh Rao Akineni Kutamba Rao, Devakata in Telugu cinema, Santosh Sivan in Tamil cinema, Deepa Mehta, Anant Balani, Homi Adajalnia, Vijay Singh and Suni Taripuravala garnered recognition in Indian English cinema.